Hi, I'm Jessica Dass, and I'm a dietitian for Milwaukee Public Schools Department of Nutrition Services. I'm here today to cook with you. We received a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And our theme this year is celebrating culture through food. The culture we're highlighting this week is European. And we're going to be making ratatouille, a French vegetable stew. We have simplified this recipe to save some time because we know you're busy at home. So we're going to get started. You're going to be able to see a rainbow of colors here today. And each Thursday during the month of October, you can pick up this rainbow of produce at any MPS stop, grab, and go location. It's free of charge. Go to the school between 11:30 and 1:30, get a produce bag and a free meal for your kids. It's a great time, and you can have fun cooking together at home, making this recipe and enjoying it. So let's get started with cutting. First of all, we're going to cut our yellow squash. Our yellow squash is great because it's in season right now in Wisconsin. Tail end. We start in midsummer, go through October with many of our produce items today. So whenever we eat seasonally, the food tastes better because it tends to be grown closer to home, which means it travels less distance and it's picked closer to ripeness. So let's get started. With our yellow squash, we'll be cutting off both ends. I like to use the serrated knife at home. And then you can either cut it in half if it's working with little hands, doesn't matter, whatever is easier for you. But I slice it once and then I slice it again right down the middle. And we're going to be making some crescent moons. This will help increase the surface area when we cook. And we're just going to keep cutting right down. Now with squash and zucchini, most of the nutrients are in the skin. So we definitely want to leave that on to get the most bang for our buck. And keep cutting down. When we're making this recipe, it's going to be on the stovetop this week. So this is really good for older kids that are comfortable using a knife safely, or you feel safe with letting them use the stove. With younger kids, they can help you dump the ingredients in and of course taste the recipe. It's also going to be really fun to use your nutrition fact sheet so you can learn even more about why each of these ingredients is good for you and why you should start incorporating them into your diet on a regular basis. So our yellow squash is almost done being prepared. And then we'll be putting it in a bowl to the side for when we cook it down to make this delicious vegetable stew. All right, everything is good to go, nice crescent shape. Set it aside. Now our eggplant. Eggplants are like big sponges. They just soak everything in, whether it's oil or in this case, our vegetable juices when we simmer everything down. I like to take the ends off. Some people do remove skin for some recipes, but in this one, you can just leave that skin on. It'll work just fine and bring out extra nutrients and flavor. Our eggplant is a great source of vitamin B6, and vitamin B6 is really important for brain development and also the nervous system. So that's why you should start eating more eggplant. It's also really delicious. And you're going to notice in a lot of European cuisines, eggplant is a primary ingredient, especially in the Italian culture. So I'm dicing it with kind of a grid-like pattern, you're going to notice, by holding it together. This is a really, really fast way to get the job done. You can see the inside of the eggplant, that nice spongy texture. No blemishes, no bruising, no brown. If your eggplant looks brown inside, it's probably a little overripe and past its prime. But the produce we're giving you is nice and fresh. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Another great thing about this recipe is it helps you to eat a balanced diet using MyPlate. If you've ever heard of MyPlate before, it is a method of eating that ensures that you're getting all the food groups that you need each day. And what's recommended in MyPlate is eating half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, a quarter of your plate with a protein or a meat alternative, primarily something lean that doesn't have a lot of saturated fat, which isn't good for our heart. And then the last quarter of your plate is going to be something whole grain. So with our protein section on MyPlate, one good gauge for what a good protein size or meat alternative looks like is by using the palm of your hand. So everyone is a different size, has a different size body, whether you're a child or adult. And the palm of an average adult is about the size of a 3-ounce piece of protein. So when we adjust that and make our child's plates up for dinner, if we give them a portion that's about the size of their palm of their hand too, we know that they're getting what their bodies need. All right, our beautiful eggplant is all cut up. We're gonna put it to the side now. And then we're gonna go through the rest of our ingredients that we have for this recipe, which starts with our Roma tomatoes. We have 3 Roma tomatoes over here that are diced up. And we have 1 green zucchini. Now most of the nutrients, like I said, are in the skin, so make sure you're leaving that on. And then we have a yellow bell pepper. And I don't know if you knew this, but yellow bell pepper is actually an overripe green pepper. I use a red onion I have from home, but any color onion will do. And then we have 4 chopped garlic cloves, great for preventing Alzheimer's. Fresh parsley today, and the little teeny tiny leaves are thyme, which smells so good and actually just reminds me of Thanksgiving. So let's get started over on the stove where we'll be sauteing our ingredients. We are going to take about a tablespoon of olive oil and turn our heat on. About a tablespoon in, let's let it heat up just a moment. And we're gonna get our first batch of ingredients together. Our onion, our pepper, and we have our garlic. So after our oil heats, I'm just gonna kind of roll it around the pan to coat, so nothing sticks, because nothing's more disappointing when you burn your food. All right, that should be good to go. Here's my onion. We're gonna just dump that in, and we can hear the nice sizzle. And for some reason, onions are kind of like cookies to me. Anytime you cook with an onion at home, it just makes the whole house smell good, like you've been in the kitchen for hours. So our yellow pepper was added, and now we have the 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to take my spatula and saute and stir everything together. Now I'm going to use my ears and my senses when I'm cooking. I hear a lot of sizzling going on, which means maybe my flame is a little too high. I'm going to turn that down. What we're looking for is our vegetables softening slightly. And we also want to see a little bit of the color brown coming out when the vegetables start to break down. This will take a few minutes. So continue to stir. Don't let it stick to the pan and burn your recipe. And once everything is lightly browned, we're going to continue to add our ingredients. So our onions, our pepper, and our garlic are slightly brown now, and we're going to add our yellow squash in, zucchini in, and then our eggplant. And this is a 12-inch skillet. It should fit everything, but pretty pulled to the top. So if you don't have a 12-inch at home, then I would recommend more of a stock pot so it doesn't overflow on you. We're going to carefully incorporate these ingredients together now. And once they're incorporated, we can put our lid on, and the juices are going to come out of the vegetables and really cook down quite a bit. All right, I'm going to put my pan cover on at this time, and we're going to let it cook down for a while. Our vegetables have been cooking down for about 5 minutes now, and they're all starting to soften. So the next step in our ratatouille is to add our 3 Roma tomatoes. We're going to give it a stir and then cover it one more time. And while it's covered, we're going to prepare our herbs and then add our herbs, salt, pepper, and dried basil. You can also use fresh basil too if you have that available. So let's put our lid on and go back to our cutting board. So we're back at our cutting board, and we're going to prepare our parsley now. I like to make it in a little ball. Parsley is actually very good at preventing skin cancer. So don't underestimate herbs. Not only do they add flavor, but really a lot of health benefits as well. I use a scissor. I find it really easy instead of trying to deal with my knives that aren't always the sharpest at home. And we have about a tablespoon of parsley. When you measure an herb, you want to pack it together so we don't have that airspace in there. We also have a teaspoon of thyme, that plant with that tiny little leaf. When you are preparing your thyme, you just want to hold it up and then push backward against the stem and the leaf, and all the leaves are going to just come off right off that stem. So we have all our herbs. I also have a teaspoon of basil that's dried today since fresh wasn't available to me. So we're going to add it together. So we're back to our skillet, sprinkling this fresh parsley in, our thyme, which is an immune booster too, and our basil. I have 1 1/4 teaspoons sea salt in here and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Put it all together. It's really smelling good at this point and looking really beautiful and colorful too. That rainbow we were talking about is just coming together. Also in this week's produce bag, we're going to be giving you a kiwi and a persimmon that you can enjoy on the side for getting your fruits in with this meal. Just really, really beautiful. Purples, reds, yellows, greens, everything coming together. And with children, when you're introducing new foods, you have to remember they eat with their eyes first. So it doesn't really matter how healthy it is to them, it just matters, does it look good? Does it smell good? Those senses are making them more willing to try new foods. We're going to continue to let this cook down for a couple minutes until our tomatoes break down a little bit more. The juices come out, they look a little bit more flat. And after that, our recipe is really ready to enjoy. So let's cover it again so the juices continue to be brought out. All right, our ratatouille has been cooking for about 2 minutes. Looks great. I'm gonna serve this with a whole wheat pasta tonight and some baked chicken. I think my family's gonna love it, and I hope your family does too. So let's see how it tastes. Get a nice variety of zucchini and tomato in this bite. Give it a little blow. So good. Enjoy.